When I look through the history of men who have achieved great things, do you know that all of them had a moment where they had to stand alone and they had to be alone and they had to be silent and they had to stand on what they believed in? A lot of them was in cells. Some of them was in captivity. Other ones was in a situation where they was dominated by the government maybe, and they had to stand their grounds knowing that, hey, this force could really, take me down if it wanted to. But they believed. But they had to stand alone. And you know what? Through my whole transformation of growing up, like as far as like growing into a man and growing into who I am and what I believe, I had to take moments where I had to stand alone. Like I remember when I decided to, uh, man, you know what? I'm gonna study for my GED and I'm gonna do this. I remember a couple of my partners that I was hanging out with in the joint was like, man, don't even worry about that. I'm like, nah, I gotta get this. They're like, man, you got years to do before you need that. I'm like, but I need to get it now. That way I can focus on something else. And they didn't really understand it. But I went and gone and knocked it out the way. So I had time to grow and do other things. And every time I grew from learning about God and following the Bible and networking and going to church. I mean, I really learned things from then. I had friends that separated themselves from me, you know what I mean? And I had friends who was Muslims. I had friends who was House of Yahweh. I had friends who believed in different things, you see what I'm saying? And I respect everybody. So I had to get a time where I actually had to stand alone again, or they had to stand alone to believe in whatever they had to believe in. So, I get it. But one thing for sure, you got to stand alone sometime. Building a business, building a family, starting a friendship. You know what I mean? Sometimes that you or that person or you yourself have to stand alone in a situation and believe that it can be possible, with your vision. But what you really want to do, especially being an independent welder, man, you're taking up on something and it's not hard by no means. But it's not going to be easy. It's just going into a job and punching that clock and doing them a few hours and coming home and, or whatever. You know what I mean? You're going to have to do probably some overtime. You're going to probably have to do some late nights or some sleep hours might be messed up or whatever the situation might be, but it's possible. And it's rewarding to actually get to the point where you own and you can be able to do what you want to do on your time. That's valuable, man. But don't forget, during those moments where you do want to give up or whatever, or throw in the towel, that it's alright, man, to feel that way. You know what I mean? To have that type of emotion, but don't do it though. You know what I mean? Everybody have that moment where they in despair, but you got to keep standing, man. I can't tell you how many times, bro, I done felt like I'd have been out here with a umbrella in a storm. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I'm trying to do is just make sure I can see. Just let me see a little bit. I'm just gonna take small steps instead of running. You know what I mean? So life is what it is. But sometimes you have to stand alone. But when you stand alone, grow, listen, learn. You know what I mean? Be humble and realize one fact that I really had to embrace myself. And the guy told me this in prison, and actually I fully understand it later after I was doing time, and after I got out I really understood what he was saying. He said, Joe, it is better to learn from someone else's mistakes than your own. And I was like, well, why is that? I would think if I'm learning from my own mistakes, I can be able to figure this thing out better. And he was like, yeah, there's truth in that. He said, but you know a fact. And I was like, what is that? You won't live long enough to learn from all of your mistakes. So learn from others. Hog on.